I've lived near or on a Great Lake for my entire life, and I'm still amazed by the number of people I run into who have never stood on the shoreline of even one of these magnificent bodies of water. What's the big deal? They'll say. A lake's a lake. Lakes are everywhere. What's so great about your lakes? Well, today, I'm here to tell the doubters exactly why the Great Lakes are so great. It's common knowledge that we are the inhabitants of a blue planet. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, but 96% of that surface water is salty water in the oceans, the seas, and the bays. Fresh water is essential for life on Earth, yet only 1% of this blue planet consists of liquid fresh water that is readily available to sustain us. And even much of that billows as vapor into our atmosphere, then falls back to the Earth's surface, where it may stagnate in the swamps or seep deep into the soil and the aquifers. But it also makes the rivers roll and flow into the lakes. And as the doubters point out, there are millions of lakes. After all, a lake is simply a body of water that's surrounded by sand. They may be filled with fresh water or salt water. In closed lakes, water only leaves by evaporation. As the water evaporates, it leaves behind solids, mostly salts. A freshwater lake will be open, enabling water to leave the lake by a river or some kind of outlet. A lake may be small enough to be called a pond, or vast enough to be called a sea. Across the continents, there are less than a few hundred large lakes. By large, think of Lake Tahoe or bigger. The majority of these lakes are freshwater lakes that not only sustain a rich diversity of life, but also support the economies of tens of millions of people who reside near their shores. Lake Nipigon, Great Bear, Great Slave are all large, beautiful sources of fresh water, but they are dwarfed by the largest of the large, the 9 greatest lakes of the world. You heard me. I said 9. The granddaddy of them all is in Siberia, Lake Baikal. There are also 3 ancient African lakes, Tanganyika, Malawi, and Victoria. And of course, we have our 5 Great Lakes of North America, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Together, these 9 Great Lakes hold nearly 70% of the world's readily available surface water. So let's briefly talk about some of these other Great Lakes. So starting in Siberia, Lake Baikal, as I said, the granddaddy of them all. It's the largest freshwater lake in the world by volume, and it's also the world's oldest lake, having formed as a rift valley 25 million to 30 million years ago as the Earth's crust pulled apart. It's home to thousands of species of plants and animals, many that can only be found in that region, like the Baikal seal, the world's only exclusively freshwater seal. Approximately 100,000 people call the Baikal region their home. The African Great Lakes are similar to Baikal in that they are ancient rift lakes. Lake Tanganyika is the largest and oldest of the 3, having formed between 9 million years and 12 million years ago. It is the world's longest freshwater lake, shared by 4 nations: Tanzania, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, and Zambia. It flows into the Congo River. Lake Malawi is the next largest African lake and the 4th largest of the world's 9 Great Lakes. It is another ancient lake between 1 million and 2 million years old. It is home to more species of fish than any other lake on the planet. Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake by area and flows into the Nile River. It's the youngest of the 3 at 400,000 years old. The African Great Lakes and surrounding Rift Valley are important habitats for a number of species such as Nile crocodiles, elephants, gorillas, and hippopotamus. An estimated 107 million people call the African Great Lakes Basin their home. So let's now head up to the North American Great Lakes. Compared to Baikal and the African Great Lakes, our lakes are geological toddlers, forming only at the last glacial period around 14,000 years ago, when retreating ice sheets carved basins that filled with meltwater. And this gives our lakes a particularly unique characteristics among the largest lakes of the world. Though the 5 lakes each lay in their separate basins, together they form an interconnected whole that contains about 6 quadrillion gallons, or 21% of the Earth's readily available surface water. And as a chain of navigable lakes and rivers, they link the North American Midwest to the Atlantic Ocean. And if that's not enough to convince the doubters of the greatness of the Great Lakes, allow me a few more moments to close the deal. The lake contains more than 35,000 islands. Some of these islands are large enough to have their own lakes with their own islands. The total length of the Great Lakes shoreline, including the islands, is 11,000 miles. To put this in perspective, the celebrated California coast is 840 miles. More than 3,500 species of plants and animals live in the Great Lake Basin. The lakes provide drinking water to more than 40 million people in the US and Canada. Perhaps the author Dan Egan summed it up best, saying, "A normal lake is knowable. A great lake can hold all the mysteries of the ocean and then some." And that's why these Great Lakes are unparalleled among the millions of lakes around the world. And the rest is up to you. If I've convinced you to dip your toe in these great waters, then press the like button and subscribe to my channel, and you'll continue to get great information about these Great Lakes, including must-see destinations and important news about work to protect these natural resources for generations to come. Thank you for watching.